they reunite Alex and the llama together on stage.
Yeah, that was interesting to bring the llama to the
Linda.
studio. Yes, Linda.
And Alex looks like she's like starting to tear up when she sees her. She's so shocked and happy.
Someone had a poster that said like Linda should be the bachelorette, the next bachelorette.
Linda for bachelorette sign. Welcome to another episode of A Fine Podcast with your hosts, Amanda and
Joseph. Yes. Welcome back, everyone. We've returned for the Women Tell All.
Women Tell All.
Yeah, we are here to talk all women.
Not all women.
And what the women say.
All women from Grant's season of The Bachelor, besides the people in the finals, got together on stage with Jesse and they talked.
Yes. And then Grant made an appearance.
Yes, Grant.
And what a long time it was.
They showed some clips at the end.
Yeah, we saw some sneak peeks of the fantasy suites and finales, and they had a magic mirror for Snow White.
And women tell all.
Yes, more like women repeat a lot of.
Did they tell all? Did
the
they tell
same
it all?
issue. I guess a lot of it was just like repeating the same issues that occurred, which I guess is what it's about. But
Yeah. And women gang up on Carolina. That's what the show should have been
yeah, I think
called.
like the first 45 minutes was just the women bashing on Carolina.
This was so sad to watch. And it was kind of out of control and never got back in control. Every time they talked, it was like a bunch of people talking over each other. And Jesse, the only time he would chime in is to say, okay, well, we got to kind of wrap this up because it's almost time for our next commercial break. Instead, he should be saying, okay, one at a time, because there's a lot of people talking.
I don't think maybe he could have. I mean, he could have tried a little bit more, but I think that they were so gung ho, and clearly none of this has been resolved to be this heated a year later. But it was. I think they would still, even if they tried to have one start talking, then it would just turn into them constantly talking over each other. There was that whole point where Carolina was like, I'm talking.
And then Serafina and Dina, they're all like jumping in like sharks to talk against Carolina. And the whole thing was a mess.
Yeah. I mean, it was. I mean, clearly, right? You saw where when Carolina got eliminated, or right before, right, that Dina and Carolina looked like they had made up and they were friends again, and clearly not, because now they're back at it and they hadn't really talked to each other.
Let's talk about this TikTok drama between Carolina and Dina. Dina made a TikTok which she says was just promoting the episode that was coming up, but really it was a dig at Carolina. And then Carolina made a TikTok back to her. And then Dina acted shocked that Carolina made one back. And she said, mine was just a preview to the episode. Yours was mean. And why would you write back such a mean response and film that?
Yeah, I mean, it did feel like it was probably definitely a stab at Carolina. I don't think it was totally just for
teasing the next
show
episode
promotion, but
yeah, come on, convenient excuse. But
yeah, clearly there's still bad blood.
But in Carolina's response, she was threatening to show the text messages that her and Dina had together. So
yeah, I mean, she definitely tried to almost take it to a whole nother level with the thing.
But the two of them, Dina shouldn't have made hers, but then Carolina shouldn't have responded.
Yeah, it's interesting to see I don't know if it's because rewatching everything, like as it's happening. Because I mean, right? I mean, this happened 6 months to a year ago, and then there's still all these crazy heated
They're
discussions
like just
about
as heated
everything.
about everything.
I mean, I don't know. It's pretty wild. I guess some of it probably is kind of watching it back. It does probably almost reignite like a. I guess too, because right, it- they Carolina gets to see like Dina's talking heads, and Dina gets to see Carolina's talking heads that they probably never knew about during the show. So I guess there is like some new information for them, kind of seeing from each other's sides when they're not directly talking to each other, and maybe that stirs some of the aggression that they still need to lash out on each other. But
Yeah, watching it back, it's like, oh man, I really am mad about this all over again in a new light.
yeah, it's wild to see it. So like it almost just feels like it happened yesterday with how crazy things get.
Yes. Dina tells Carolina, I bought you another week with Grant. It was because of me you stayed an extra week, which I don't think it was entirely because of Dina that Carolina stayed an extra week. I think it was Grant's decision, but
Yeah, I think that was a little far fetched from Dina's point of view, or from Dina's comment. I did like Dina a little bit better going into it. I mean, this probably a little bit less because it did feel very. I don't know. You're still bringing on very assault heavy with things, and
salt.
yeah, like it. I guess really still attacking Carolina constantly through this, and
It just didn't look mature on her end.
I felt like she was a lot more mature during the show than that reunion. But I don't know. But I don't know. Maybe it was easier to hide things during the show. But
Yeah, they're
first,
like, oh, we have a professional lawyer in the house. And she's like, yes, yes, that's me. And she's waving to the audience and representing herself as a professional lawyer. And then she's getting involved in catty drama and ripping Carolina to shreds and all of that, too. So,
I figured they would at least have like, obviously there was going to be a discussion about that and Carolina's whole thing, but I don't know how it just kept dragging on and on and on and on and kept going back to it, and
it
it
was
was
too
just
much.
yeah.
Too much.
Probably the producers were like, this is great, right? I mean,
This is
this
great.
is
We're
TV. I
hurting
mean,
this one individual very much.
I think both of them looked in a bad light. Really,
Yeah, I think both Carolina and Dina
it didn't help either of them to
didn't look
look good.
good. Yeah. Well, Carolina coming out in the suit with her quotes on it. I'm crazy and evil.
Yeah, that was a little strange. Also, the color coordination was like terrible because you could barely even read the quotes. I mean, the one on the side, I couldn't even read. The one on the back, because the font was big enough, but like the teal and the white combination was a terrible.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I don't know if you really wanted to show what the quotes were, but because it was hard to read over the TV.
Yeah, it was pretty hard. I think we were squinting to try to see it and we still couldn't
Yeah.
make it out fully. But that was weird showing up with the quotes and I don't know. It was like she was like preparing to start the drama fest.
I will say, I don't know if she was coming into this with like a better light, because at first, before all the arguments really started, she did seem a little more like owning it and accepting it, right? Like I almost thought she was going to come about it kind of like how like Leo from Love Is Blind, how he on his TikTok account now, he really owned like all the crazy stuff that he got pegged for, like the mwah, 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 and all the other things, and he kind of owned it and like turned it into like his brand or whatever, right? And then
He's a rich
he
art
came out
dealer.
into a good light, after the show and everything, and people would like him for that. So to me, it kind of seemed like maybe she was just gonna own all the crazy and evil and all of that, and just have a good time at the reunion. And it kind of looked like that at the beginning when they were starting to recap some of the different points, like she was laughing and having a good time, but then the argument started and she left, and yeah, it just turned into a mess.
It really did turn into a mess. all the memories of Carolina just started to make everybody really angry. They went over her dancing all over Grant on stage and how the other women were jealous and upset that she did that in front of them and she thought nothing of it. So they recapped that moment. And when her and Dina got into that huge fight, Dina saying she bought her another week, Carolina runs off the stage crying and she leaves.
Yeah, yeah, she had to step off for a while.
And then Jesse comes back and he says, Carolina had to leave for a bit to take a little break, but we will continue on our show.
Yeah, I almost thought at first that she was just gonna step out for almost the rest of the show, or the filming of it. But I guess she probably has to show up. But
She's like, I made this jacket. I can't just show up for half the show.
well, and at least getting her seat, her moment in the hot seat to try to better explain herself.
Yeah, I cannot believe that she still didn't have her moment in the hot seat after all the attention was on her for 45 minutes. And she still had more time to go after that.
Yeah, I mean, she finally. Well, and then it was like she did finally get it. I think she was like finally the last person they put in the hot seat before Grant showed up, but even then she was still making like comments about, or still trying to bring up the comments that like Serafina made and Dina and etc. It was just, I don't know. There was just too much. I think just too much focus on that.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it was. I mean, obviously every episode or season's different, but
Well, they did show Allie Joe a little recap of her pushing moment in the basketball date.
yeah, I feel like her and Bailey got a little bit of time. The spotlight.
Yeah.
Beverly had a little bit, even though
She
got sick
left,
and
yeah.
left. But I was like kind of surprised that she came. At first, I was like, "Who's this?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's."
she's the one that mysteriously was gone.
Yeah.
But then they showed a lot of Zoe too, and then Zoe wasn't there to defend herself.
I thought was so interesting, and I didn't realize this until watching this, was Alex, all of them, Alex, Carolina, Dina, and Serafina. The last person Grant said during the rose ceremony for each of theirs was always Zoe.
Yeah, they all lost to Zoe. Like she was the one that got the final rose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really weird, or just interesting, because just the chances of the 4 different women, and so Zoe's like basically always been picked last in
Yeah.
the last
She always
4
skates by.
episodes.
Yep.
Which like really I think almost points to
She's not
that
in
he
the
has
final
no
two.
interest at
Yeah.
all. I mean, normally likes to try to mix it up, right? Or I guess actually maybe not, because Lydia's always like been almost first. I think Juliana was first, the hometowns, but Latia has always been.
You said
Keep saying-
Lydia, and I
yeah.
didn't know who you were talking about.
I keep wanting to say Lydia. Latia has generally been first, but Juliana was during hometowns. But I don't know. I don't think he randomizes his order as much as.
He's just telling you straight up who's going
Yeah,
to win
yeah.
every time. It's like Latia,
Yeah.
Juliana, Latia,
And
Juliana,
then
Latia,
Zoe's
Juliana.
dead last every
Zoe,
time.
Zoe, at the very last moment.
It would definitely be really interesting if Zoe had been there to be able to. I don't know if they'd even talked about that hoe.
Gosh, yeah, that'd
She'd
be terrible to bring that up at this moment with Zoe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. Serafina, they recapped her moment where she talked about Zoe's dress being the shortest dress she's ever seen. I think on one of the first nights that they were together. And then she said she has since apologized to Zoe. Do you think she had a genuine apology?
I mean, I guess maybe it'd be interesting, I guess to really have Zoe's take on it, but it could have been. But I don't know. I feel like it's probably not.
Yeah, I'm happy she owned up to it, but just judging her behavior on the attacking of Carolina, I don't know. It just seemed like there was just like some craziness happening that didn't need to happen with Serafina and Dina
Yeah.
arguing and
I guess. Well, I guess actually think about it. She probably could, because I will say, the first two episodes is always really paying out. Like she was just the bad villain, and everyone was against her. And then it just really flipped to Carolina for like the rest of the time until she got eliminated. And then Zoe actually seemed like in good light with everyone else. Like everyone was friends with her, and they were all getting along, and she really didn't have any issues with anyone else. So I could
yeah.
actually say probably, because that was like during when Zoe was the big villain. So I would say probably it was.
Yeah, she went from villain to good friend of everybody.
Yeah, it was very interesting how like that dynamic changed very quickly. Like it was like within like the third episode, she just was immediately cleared with everyone, and then Carolina became the culprit. But
Yeah. And it was Carolina from that point on.
yeah,
But someone who didn't want to be in the drama was Alex. And she has her time on stage and she talks about how she kind of felt blindsided when she was eliminated. She thought she had good chemistry with Grant and everything was going well, but it seems she fell through the cracks a little bit here.
yeah. I mean, I do think this is almost. I feel like the first date's a blessing and a curse, because yeah, it's great you're the first date, but if you don't ever get a one-on-one after that, or I think it's harder to almost stay, because he's having all these on these other dates, and he's probably getting, you know, maybe it was the dates mixed, or after having one good one and then one great after her, like after Alex's, then he's getting mixed up or just feels more connection towards this new person because their date was sooner.
And that's what's so hard about going first is, yeah, sure, there's a great first impression, but there's so many things that happen after it.
Yeah, right. So, and I think she just got lost to the wind, and because then you most probably have to even work harder during the group dates to try to keep something going, because I think it'll just fizzle out with all the other dates. So I think it is a very tough position, and I think it did for that.
Yeah, that's
But
kind of sad.
yeah, once again, I mean, I don't know. All these people lost to a person who never even had a one-on-one. So
That's true. That is really weird. At least Alex had one, even if it was early on.
yeah.
And they had a pretty good one. So, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it was like, at least film-wise, I mean, you saw so much of her in the beginning, and then really in the later episodes, I mean, you barely saw her. And she just really kind of fell by the wayside.
Yeah, she didn't get much airtime after that besides her cheat hack of riding the bull in that
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah, that was the last big moment I can remember from her.
Hold the bull by the horns.
Yeah. I have to say the arguing between like Serafina and
This was so
and
funny.
Carolina, with Alex in the middle, just
Her face.
looking straight.
Well, she was
straight
trying
down
to
the line.
duck behind them.
Yeah, she was sitting back, and so they could see each other eye to eye, and then she was just looking straight, because she probably knew the cameras were obviously on them, so she was just looking dead straight, like never looked to the left or right. I mean, I feel like that's gonna have to turn into like a meme shot or something, because
That look was really funny.
to
Yeah.
see how heated they were, and then she just sat there like totally trying to just wanted to be like in the wall. It's
She
like
wanted to vanish.
Yeah.
She wanted to go invisible and disappear and not be involved in this.
yeah, it's totally like the oh man,
No
the
drama
one little
llama.
Simpson kid where he disappears
Oh,
into
yes.
the end of the green bush, but yes, yeah, definitely the no drama llama thing.
Yes. No drama llama. They reunite Alex and the llama together on stage.
Yeah, that was interesting to bring the llama into the
Linda.
studio. Yes, Linda. Thank you.
And Alex looks like she's like starting to tear up when she sees her. She's so shocked and happy, and that was really a nice
Yeah.
moment for the two of them.
Yeah. Someone had a poster that said like Linda should be the bachelorette, the next bachelorette.
Linda for Bachelorette sign. Yeah, that was really funny.
Yeah,
I like the llama a lot.
that was clever.
But that's pretty much what she says. Just she was shocked that she went home. She had a good connection with Grant, but she kind of fell off or fell into the background. And also, while she's talking with Jesse, Carolina walks back to her seat and returns from her exit.
Yeah, she.
You see her just kind of like walking in front of their conversation.
Yeah, that was.
First, I was like, what is going on? Is that like a weird shot of an audience member? No, it was Carolina walking back.
Yeah, I guess that shows you at least it is like live when they're doing it.
It's Serafina's time in the hot seat now. And she talks to Jesse and she says that she felt blindsided going home because she thought her and Grant had a really good connection with each other. And he was giving her a lot of validation. So she's kind of upset about this whole thing.
Yeah, I think this was just. I mean, their dates went well, like the one-on-ones and the time they had together. But I think probably for Grant, it just felt more amicable than romantic. I think especially about like the comment she made with the whole kissing and the mom watching and things.
That's why she's holding back
Yeah.
because mom is watching.
But like in the moment, I think that almost kind of turned him off to being more, oh, this is more just of a friendship. Like we can hang out together and it's a nice time, but there's nothing romantic here.
I don't think he
And
was romantically
it,
connected.
yeah, so for her, I think she thought it went great. There's clearly a disconnect, but I mean, I can see how she thought it was being blindsided, but
Yeah, I think she was really into him and the conversations they were having. And Grant is a really nice person and he was nice to her. And yeah, so it's just sad for her. But she says, my mom wants to see me get married and I'm not getting any younger and my mom's not getting any younger. And then speaking of Serafina's mom, then it cuts to a clip of her mom and she says, yes, I saw you on TV kissing. There were moments where I had to turn my head away, but I loved watching the show and just know mama's always watching.
yeah, that was it was funny that Jesse made that happen. And yeah, we have that clip, and then there's joking because she is single, Serafina's mother, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, Golden Bachelorette.
Golden Bachelor or Bachelorette.
Yeah, candidate there.
Yeah.
I think specifically for Bachelorette,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
Or
guess
Bachelor if she wants to be a contestant, but
yeah.
doesn't want to be in the spotlight. But she'd be great in the spotlight. She'd make a great Golden Bachelorette.
Yeah.
She
And then
seems
she
fun.
could make comments about, oh, my daughter's watching. I need to be.
Yeah, exactly. The tables will be turned.
Yeah.
And then she'll be
Or my
kissing
granddaughter,
behind
not
boxes and
or no daughter.
not
I
granddaughter.
don't know what I'm saying here. Daughter.
Yeah, do you think she'll care about kissing on TV in front of her daughter?
Yes.
She'll just say, Serafina, look away.
Yeah, probably.
And then Dina comes up on stage and they keep referring to her as the Ice Queen, which it seems like she isn't really an Ice Queen. Every time she's talking, she shows a lot of emotion, and maybe it's just the Ice Queen uncracking and opening up.
I mean, I kind of understood it at first because I did think she was more stoic in things. I guess there was that one I'd kind of forgotten about earlier on where she's in that red dress and she was talking to Grant and crying about something. But other than that, I mean, I feel like she has been more reserved and showing different emotions and things like that. It was interesting to see or tell her story where she came out and said it was more so kind of me that put the stop on having her family meet Grant for
So
hometowns.
basically, she has a really big family, a lot of siblings, right? I think like maybe 10 or
Yes.
so. And half of her family wanted to do it and half did not want to be involved. So she made the decision instead of like pitting those sides against each other to just drop out of the whole family meeting Grant process, which that's not how it came off at all on the show. It was, yeah, my whole family just decided they can't meet you, Grant. And really, it was her decision.
I think it was probably better. Like I mean, I don't know. I would think maybe if she had said, "Oh well, half want to, half don't."
Yeah, she should have just have been honest. Either have a couple of family members show up for you if it wasn't going to cause too much of a riff.
I think it was. I think it was. I think that clearly. I think she said no to it because it was already causing quite a drift between
All right. Well, I'm
sides.
saying the two options would be if it isn't, have a couple people show up for you,
Oh yeah, sure, for sure. Yeah.
or make the decision, okay, none of us should come. But yeah, if it was causing too much of a divide between the family, just say, hey, this is causing a huge issue between my family. So this is how I think we're going to approach this. We're not.
Yes.
So
But it'll be interesting to see because she didn't say that with Grant, even there in the studio yet when they talked about this. So it'll be interesting if he watches that back to discover, or maybe she'll tell him off camera or something. But
well, she says she regrets this a little bit, the way she handled it. And I guess this was the Ice Queen portion was, Grant kept checking on her, like, how do you feel about your family not being involved today? And she kept dodging the question. Carolina's now in the hot seat. Is it hotter than the seat she was already in before?
I guess at least now she has the ability to talk without being interrupted now.
For the most part, until the end, where
Eh,
girls interrupt from far away.
Yeah, and Dina starts it.
So she opens up to Jesse about how hard it was to talk about her epilepsy to Grant and how she trusted him. And she said she kind of spiraled after that conversation with Grant because it took a toll on her. It was a lot to talk about. And he didn't really open up back to her after, which made her upset.
That
Which I
yeah,
thought was interesting because I thought he did,
I don't know if he opened.
or he was at least very supportive and kind of made it about her too after she talked about something
Yeah, I thought he was
so
receptive to
sensitive.
it and just very much of that's not going to deter me from making my decision about you. I, I don't know. I mean, he didn't say anything about his side or any problems. I don't know what he would have said because I don't doesn't sound like he has any conditions to that point to open up about it. So I don't know. I don't really know what he needed to open up about here, but maybe she just thought the way he responded just wasn't what she was hoping for or something.
Or
But
she wanted him to reveal something deep about him. But I think sometimes
yeah,
listening is a good thing and showing you care and you
yeah.
have
I mean,
support.
maybe he didn't want to try to take the attention off her and just try to. Some people they'll say something like that, but then they immediately just flip the conversation around and keep it about them or something, and then say something like that.
Which I think that's way worse to do that. So
Yeah, I could see him feeling like that would be bad or not wanting to do something like that. So that's why he kept the focus on her. But
so Carolina does not regret telling Grant about what Rose said, which this was the big drama recap. All this drama started in a previous episode where Rose and Grant are talking, and Grant says to Rose, when I was on stage dancing with Carolina, I really was thinking of you, according to Rose. And that is not what was said. And then they replay the clip live, too with Grant when he comes out. But before this, they asked Carolina, like, do you regret going to Grant and talking about this? Because then Rose tells Carolina, and then Carolina tells Grant, and it's a whole big thing. And Carolina says, no, I don't regret talking to him about this. And then there's like a whole big fight, but I think it started with that comment.
Yeah, so they bring this up, and then Rose kind of chimes in again about this whole thing and really how it basically ruined her connection with Grant, and that's pretty much why she went home. I think there just wasn't a strong enough connection ultimately between Grant and Rose to pursue anything.
You did me dirty.
And then it was even, so they play that clip a little bit later where it's Grant and Rose, and Grant says, well, I was thinking about you. He doesn't say specifically while Carolina was with me in that moment, but he does say that.
Rose blew it up.
Yeah, I mean, she read it in the context was not right. She read it in a different context. His communication wasn't the best, but she misinterpreted it to a.
Do you think she honestly misinterpreted it and she truly believed he meant that when he was with Carolina, he had eyes for Rose or just thoughts for Rose the whole time?
Yeah, that's true. I guess I don't mean.
I don't know. It could be taken two ways. Either she horribly misinterpreted it genuinely, or she magnified that to her advantage.
Yeah, it's either that or I think it could have been potentially they were having the conversation. Rose was almost getting jealous of hearing Carolina's discussion with, or just talking about what a great time it was with Grant and all that. And then she almost probably in the moment said, well, he was thinking about me while he was with you, almost as like just as a heat in the moment of jealousy, almost potentially.
I think that
I don't know.
Weren't they talking one-on-one to each other? And she's like, oh yeah, by the way, Grant said.
Right.
But like, why would that come up in a natural, friendly conversation? Hey, the man I was talking to that we're both talking to said he didn't really think about you when you guys were dancing. He thought about me.
Well, I think Carolina could have been talking about what a great time she was having, and it made Rose jealous. And then she said that like to almost spite her, potentially. I don't know. I don't know if that's really, we don't see enough of Rose, if that's really her character or not. Or if she just genuinely misinterpreted what he said.
Even if you genuinely misinterpreted it, the fact that you ran back to Carolina to tell her this information.
I almost want to say it was more out of spite, or it was just jealous. She was just upset about hearing all that, so she just wanted to say that to just try to show or say to Carolina, like, hey, at least, I'm still I've got a connection with him, or,
Yeah.
he still is interested in me. And
Ha ha ha.
yeah, I almost feel like that's how it came up, if I had to guess, but that's just my take.
So Grant comes to the stage and we first see him getting questioned by Dina, and Dina says, why did you say that meeting my family could be make or break in an interview? And you never expressed that to me. And then she starts crying and getting emotional. And Grant says, that wasn't really it. And that was not the reason that you went home. And listen, if we ended up together in the end, I would have met your family then. So truly, I just didn't have as deep of a connection with you, and that's why you went home. And then Dina says, I'm sorry about my family. And I'm sure this interview with Grant where he says, yeah, it could be a make or break, this was probably like a producer pushed like question or something that they asked him beforehand.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I will say the response was I mean, it was a good response by Grant. Whether it was like a little snake salesman oil smooth talking there, felt a little bit like that, but I mean, yeah, that was a decent response. Like how or not just genuine, but I don't know. It almost just felt like it was like a very articulated response to calculated response to.
Well, if so, it was very quick with it
Yeah.
to come up with that.
Yeah.
But I think he genuinely means it. But yeah.
I mean, I think in the end, yes, but I don't know. It did just feel a little. Something about it just didn't feel totally.
So you think it really was because he didn't get to meet her family?
I think it did play a big part in it, yes. Because I think in that moment, that's the whole point of hometowns, right? So if you're not getting that, I think that is a
Sure, I'm sure that was disappointing, but at the same time, I don't think that completely turns you off to somebody that you're interested in.
yeah. And I mean, I guess at the end of the day, right? I mean, still, it was between. I'm sure in his head, it was between Zoe or Dina who's going to go home, and clearly I guess he did feel potentially a better connection with Zoe. So
So it's Carolina's time to talk with Grant, and she says, I want to know when you clocked it. Like, clocked her going home. There was a conversation that Grant had with Dina where he says, oh, Carolina's behavior? I clocked it. And Carolina hates that.
yeah, see, this is where all this. This is where I guess the show is. This is where they would want to watch the show. Like the women would want to watch the show back, or maybe even Grant, because these talking heads, I think, is the new pieces of information that they get, or just even seeing the conversations from the other women, what they're having, because they're in the other room on the couch or something. But yeah, they're clearly, between Dina and Carolina, they're very fixated on these responses that Grant gave. But
So Grant tells Carolina, it was your negative demeanor on the group dates, actually, that kind of brought things down. And so then Carolina argues a little bit about this. And then this is where all the women kind of jump on Carolina from the audience again and
yeah,
argue. And
I felt like this was interesting because I guess this almost, at least for Grant, I guess, to almost see or get an idea of what it was probably like in the house with all the drama with her, seeing how they were still all like attacking her at this point, and she's trying to fend them all off
yes,
to give him a better point of view of really like how it was going down.
but Grant was probably like, get me out of here.
Yeah, right. I've already done this. I've already found my woman. I'm done. I'm I'm done with this.
For the most part, it looks like the women had really good experiences with Grant. Like, he's very well liked among the group.
Yeah, I mean, they doesn't really seem like any of them have hard feelings against him. And
I think they were so much into him, and that's what caused some of the more intense questions. But yeah, that was it.
yeah, I mean, a lot of them were just I was, blindsided when I didn't get picked or moved on, and
Which he
that
has
was
to
it.
eliminate.
Yeah,
So we see Grant's sister in the audience, which you said looks a lot like Grant.
yeah. I mean, you reminded me of that.
We saw her
it
on night one.
in the first episode, but I don't know. Just seeing, I guess at least in a nicer light, like the studio lighting. But yeah, they really look very similar. Like they almost look like, to me, like they could be like fraternal twins almost. But
They do look very similar, but she is proud of him, and it's a nice relationship the two of them have. And then Jesse and Grant play Chubby Bunny, where Jesse cheats and chews all the marshmallows up. Which, what was the point of this?
yeah, so this is a testament to where Parisa and Grant, during one of their one-on-one times, she plays or brings out Chubby Bunny with actual marshmallows, and I noticed here they brought Peeps instead, which are like actually, well, unless you get Jumbo marshmallows, but
They're huge.
yeah, they're probably bigger than.
No wonder why Jesse was chomping down and eating them while he's.
But yeah, he was
the
chewing them.
competition.
I don't remember if that's the official. I thought it was just you have to put it in your mouth and that's it.
Yeah, you don't get to chew because when you chew, you're making more room for them in your mouth. And Grant was just stuffing them in whole.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got
I
to
don't know. This
watch
whole tidbit was very
two grown
strange.
men stuff Peeps in their mouth.
Yeah.
And then they go to the magic mirror, which is a big commercial for Snow White, the new movie coming out.
The same one that ABC used for filming Snow White.
And in the mirror, we see secret clips that we haven't seen before. We see sleepy clips. We see Serafina taking a nap, messy clips, Parisa being messy. We see who's the cleanest of them all? Dina, and she does laundry every day. Every day.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
They ask her why does she have a laundry basket in her house, and she says it's just for show.
Yeah. Her and Ben would not get along well.
Yeah, Ben from Love Is Blind.
For every 2 weeks. That was made up, but still.
Wait, didn't he say every month he does regular laundry?
No, that was the bed sheets.
No, bed sheets are every 2 weeks.
Oh, yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every month he does his
Yeah.
clothes.
Yeah, so they would not be a good fit
No,
together.
bad fit. Who spends the most time in the mirror? It's Grant. And then this is where they bring the Rose clip up. This is how it fits in. Jesse
Yes,
asks the mirror
put
if
this thing
Grant
to bed, yeah.
really told Rose that he was thinking about her when he was dancing with Carolina. Yeah.
And
So
yeah, no, the context was out of place.
I really liked Grant's response to this, though. He said, yeah, it was some bad communication on my part, but come on, that was a stretch to say that. So,
Yeah.
but then Rose apologizes for the bad interpretation. So, yeah, the two of them approached that pretty.
I mean, I
Pretty
feel
well.
like this was actually where like a nice resolution to the whole thing came along. Like I feel like that did have a good
A good
resolve.
ending. Yeah, no arguing and fighting over
A
it.
lot of the other things never came to a conclusion, but
Yeah.
that at least did.
Thank goodness something came to a conclusion.
Yeah.
And then there's some bloopers. So Alex trying to open a date card and she can't get the paper out over and over again. Grant mispronouncing the town he was in. He calls it Edaburger,
Yeah.
Edinburgh, Edinburgh.
Yeah, well, and then the first time I was like, "Oh, they're going to Edinburgh," and you're like, "It's Edinburgh." I was like, "No, it's
No,
Edinburgh.
you said Eatonborough, and I was like, what?
I said Edinburgh.
Oh, I thought you said Eatonborough.
Oh, I said,
And
no,
what
it was
did I
it-
say?
Well, it was the Berg because it's spelt like Berg, like Edinburgh,
Yeah, I'd never heard of
but
this
it's
before.
Edinburgh.
You had to explain that to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks, Grant. I don't feel as bad for not understanding. Then we see Parisa wearing olive oil because there's no tanning lotion at the house.
Yeah, this was a little concerning.
So she's basically just rubbing cooking oil in place of tanning oil to try to keep her tan.
I wonder if it was extra virgin or regular.
Does it make a difference?
Yeah, because the lower would have a lower smoke point, so she may start smoking.
Which I guess it works, right?
Yeah, ultimately at the end of the day, yeah, I guess you're going to make yourself shiny to absorb more sunlight.
They said 2 weeks from now we should know when Bachelor in Paradise is going to premiere. Exactly, I guess. Or there's a bigger announcement about it.
Yes, yeah, I guess they're bringing back that too because I guess it's been a while. I have no idea, but
I've never seen it before, so I'm excited to watch it. Are you excited to watch it?
oh yeah,
Yeah, it's when they bring past Bachelor and Bachelorette people,
on an island.
from what I'm gathering. That's what it
I
is.
mean, that's what I've seen in like previous sneak peeks when I would see commercials for it on TV.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like a whole. It's like another matchmaking thing. It's like they just get a bunch of the
Like perfect
different-
match, basically, right?
Yeah, they get a bunch of other contestants who have been on, and they just see if they will mingle or not.
Yeah. So we can watch that together later this year.
Yeah, we can review that one.
Yeah. So 2 weeks now is the finale of The Bachelor, and we learn it's a 3-hour live finale. 3 hours.
Yeah,
You better be getting your popcorn ready.
yeah. That's a full movie.
Yeah. I guess there's going to be a lot of audience cutaways, like to get reactions to things.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I think a lot of it will be probably an hour of it at least is probably like the live studio portion of it.
Yeah.
And then it'll be the 2 hours of like film stuff and then whatnot. But yeah, we'll have that, and then Fantasy Suites is next week.
Next week, Fantasy Suites. Woo!
So yes, we will see how things go.
Yeah, 2 more episodes.
This is where Zoe's getting knocked out.
Zoe.
And it'll be the battle between Juliana and Latia.
That's right.
At least that's what we think. Maybe there will be some crazy thing that happens, but
yeah, unless there's a crazy wrench thrown into everything, I think Zoe will be the next one to go home.
Yeah. But we will let you know.
Yeah, we will talk about it.
Yeah, we will discuss it.
Next week.
Yes.
Well, thanks so much for joining us for another episode of A Fine Podcast.
Yeah, we hope you like it. And don't forget to check us out on our social medias if you haven't already. And like and subscribe if you like it. And
yeah, find us on YouTube, subscribe, leave a comment, let us know your thoughts.
Yes, who's going in, who's staying out.
That's right. We'll see you next time.
Ciao.
Bye.